Hello and welcome to Jim and Jay's Final Say here on Palace Fan TV. I'm Jim Daly and this is our Newcastle review video where Palace lost 1-0 up at St James's Park. Second half goal from Andros Townsend, a player we were linked with in January and by all accounts were quite keen to get. So it's kind of classically Palace that we would let him score the winner. The goal itself, free kick from quite far out. Wayne Hennessy potentially went the wrong way. He likes to kind of make a shuffle, doesn't he? One way then the other when he's facing free kicks. I know it's tough as a goalkeeper. I'm not a keeper. I'm sure it's difficult. You've got a split second to make a decision, and he's gambled that way, and it's gone in the other corner. But critics would say, why step to the side where your wall is? That's what your wall is for. You've got to kind of assume they're going to go to the other corner, and it's happened to him a few times this season. It was a good free kick, but you have to argue maybe if he hadn't done that little shuffle, would he have saved it? The Hennessy shuffle has become quite a thing now. Sounds more like a dance, but unfortunately it has become a bit of a trait of his game. But there you go. Otherwise, Palace started quite brightly. Looked very good going forward in the first half. Probably the better team in the first half, but couldn't quite turn that pressure into clear-cut chances or any goals. And I think really it's a case of when our wingers aren't particularly on it. And Yannick looked okay. And there was no Wilf, of course, who was injured. When they're not particularly on it, I think we struggle. There's not really much of a plan B. We sort of struggle to then switch things up. Punchin was on the other flank to Yannick and said it so many times, I think he's better in the middle. I really think he's better in that number 10. In the last few weeks, he's got better, found some form, come back from injury, and it's been in that number 10 role. Out wide, I just think some games he gets lost, and the game can pass him by, and this was another one of those games, unfortunately. But we know what quality he's got and what he can offer. I just think he's better in the middle. But, there was no Wilf, but there was James McArthur, who was back from injury. Great to see him start a game for the first time in what feels like ages. And he did okay, considering, he's been out for quite a while. We know he's got energy. We know he's got strength. We know what he'll give us in the middle of the park. I like to see him sitting a bit further back. But, without Wilf, Pardew had to change things around. And really, I don't think he got the starting lineup too wrong, to be honest. But, as we've seen in previous games, when the subs come on, Sacco, Gale, Adebayor, they don't seem to really offer much. And we don't seem to change things up too much, apart from just chucking on more attackers and seeing what happens. And it didn't really work for us. Second half, we were very tired. It was frustrating after quite a good first 45 to come out and they looked exhausted. And maybe it's the cup run. We had extra games in the cup and they've played so well in the cup. Maybe those are starting to take the toll. Scott Dan threw up, on the pitch. So maybe he's not very well, and maybe he shouldn't have played. I don't know. There was a few factors going into it, but just frustrating that after a good 45 we couldn't really turn it into more goals or into points, which we need just to wrap up this league form, get safe, and we can go into the FA Cup final safe from relegation, confident, and crucially without injuries. And at least we got through the game without any injuries to key players, so that's a positive. But frustrating because Newcastle aren't really that good a team, but they are starting to find a bit of form, I think, and to pull themselves out of the bottom three. And fair play to Rafa Benitez, who's galvanised them and got them together. But I think it's a game we're disappointed that we didn't win because we definitely got the quality to do that. But there you go. So those are my thoughts on Palace's defeat at St James's Park. Don't forget to subscribe to Palace Fan TV. If you haven't yet, come on, it's April. Click that button. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Comment below with your thoughts on the game. Where did it go right? Where did it go wrong for Palace? And that's it from me. Here's Jay from the Eagles Beak with his thoughts. We'll see you again very soon on Palace Fan TV for loads more Palace content as we build up to that FA Cup final. Come on, you Palace. Anyway, see you again soon.
Hey guys, welcome back to Palace Fan TV, and this is Jim and Jay's final say, looking back at the long trip to Newcastle today. Always going to be a tough game. Pardew returning to his former club, a lot of subplots before this game. Obviously Kabay going back to St James's Park, and Kabay was obviously centre of attention during the second half. A goal for Newcastle gave them a lead, which was a stunning free kick off Andros Townsend. I don't know what it is about stunning goals that get scored against Palace, but we played well first half. I think we were well into the game, kind of took the game to the hosts in this one, really. And obviously Newcastle were under a lot of pressure to get something from the game. And after the semi-final last week, there's a bit of a spring in our step, and you would expect us to come out and play a little bit like that. But unfortunately, the second half was what was a former shadow of ourselves in a way. It's very similar to how we've been playing in the league. Ultimately, we lost the game, but Kabay had a great chance to level things up, courtesy of a penalty. Good save by the keeper. but you would have to question, Kabai's, he has taken penalties for us this season. Maybe there's a question there whether Cabaye should have taken it against his former team, and his former team in their predicament that they find themselves in. Lots of questions you can ask, but it's gone now. That's the decision. Kabai's penalty taker, whatever happens. And it's just unfortunate that that penalty was missed today. He scored others before. So yeah, it's a bit of a letdown from last weekend, really. Last Sunday was obviously fantastic in the FA Cup, and again, the FA Cup we seem to beat these teams, but not in the Premier League. We can't seem to do it. That's 1 win in 19 now, which is horrid form. It really is. And obviously before the FA Cup, we had a bit of a run, which picked us up a little bit. And for me, it's got us just about in a position where we're outside of the relegation trouble. I mean, I think Sunderland have got a game in hand, but if they lose that game in hand, then they can't catch us, and Newcastle can only get level on points with us. And as I record this, Norwich are playing and losing to Arsenal. So it's all these things you take into account when you're looking at a table, but we really shouldn't be in this position. We really shouldn't. For me, a lot of people are asking questions about Pardew, which is right. Everyone can be constructive about what's going on. Pardew himself will no doubt be asking questions. Today was, like I say, always going to be a tough game against a side that's really struggling to get points, and they've picked up a bit of form lately as well, and I think they needed it a little bit more than we did today, which probably in the second half ultimately showed. It still doesn't make it easy to lose these games. It really doesn't, and it's a terrible run of form. Pardew's position any other time would probably be untenable, really, but the FA Cup run has probably clouded that a little bit, and probably rightly so. For me, I would give him the first 10 games next season, see what happens and see where we go from there. I think he's deserved as much as that, from us. I'd like to think that the board and the owners probably wouldn't think an awful lot more. Would make a different decision if Pardew goes or Palace go on a run any similar to this again in the future. Questions would seriously have to be asked. But let's not dwell on it. We've had a up and down season as we've enjoyed. It's just a bit of a letdown today after last weekend's joyous occasion. But for me, I think we're just about done enough, and I say just about. It might be quite tight by the end, but we're in a position now where I fancy us to get something out of the Stoke game at home next week. Our last home game of the season. Hoping that we can be a bit buoyant for that game. Stoke are in a position now where they drew with Sunderland today. They've had a bad run of form lately as well, and obviously want to get revenge for that FA Cup game that we knocked them out of. But I'm a little bit disappointed, but I'm not downhearted. It's a terrible run of form, but we will get to the end of the season and we'll be fine. Trust me. Well, I hope so. I hope it doesn't come back to haunt me. But please let us know your thoughts on the game below this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Not sure why you haven't if you're watching this video, but ultimately share the videos for other people to see. Palace Fan TV is all across social media, so Facebook, Twitter, and also Snapchat. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch up with you again next week after the Stoke game. Cheers, bye.